Okay, in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to use the quotient rule from the same section of 2.3. This also is about derivatives, and I would really like you to watch the other video. It's kind of silly, but it's a very nice mnemonic device to help you remember this, because unlike the product rule, you have to have everything in the right order for this quotient rule. And so the mnemonic device is very helpful. And what it says is low D high, which means the low term times D high, so the derivative of the high term or the upper term, minus high, which is the top term, D low, which is the derivative of the low term, over low squared, which is G of x squared. And then here we go. So low D high minus high D low over low squared, here we go. So please watch the video. It will help you remember this. We're going to take a look at an example, and I'm going to walk you through one of these, because you just got to be careful with all of these when you're starting out. So we're going to start with a function named f of x, and this is what our function is going to look like. Okay, so this says x over x squared. That is a weird looking 2, sorry about that, plus 1. So let's first make sure that we know which is our f of x and which is our g of x parts. Even though they may not look like it since the function is already named f of x, we want it to look like what our quotient rule says. So we're going to make f of x green and g of x orange, like so. Okay, so I changed a couple things. All I did was I color-coded what the f of x function should be. It should always be the numerator, and then g of x is my denominator. So let's see if we can follow this rule and write this out. Now, first of all, I'm going to need to name this so that I can work with it. Now, I'm going to actually use Newton notation for this, just a little quicker, which is going to be f prime of x equals. All right, so the first part here, up here, if we look, it says g of x times f prime. So my g of x function is simply x squared plus 1. So that's what I'm going to write for g of x, just like this. So that was this. And then f prime. So we know that one of our rules says that the derivative of any all alone variable is 1. So that's what I'm going to write right here, just the number 1. Now I need my minus sign. And then I'm going to do f of x. Well, as I just looked at it, it was x. And now I'm going to do g prime. So the derivative of the bottom function, for this piece, I need to use my power rule, which would be 2x. And then the derivative of any constant is 0. So the entire derivative of a bottom function is just 2x. That's actually pretty nice. So I can write it out like this for you. And I'm going to go ahead and put 2x over here. All right, now this is all over g of x squared, and this is going to be the part, if there's a part of this that you're going to forget, it's going to be this part. So I'm going to go ahead and write in here x squared plus 1, and then this is being squared. So that's how you get it set up. And how am I going to reduce this or simplify it? Well, let's try some basic multiplication and simplification. So f prime of x equals, now 1 times x squared plus 1 is just going to be x squared plus 1. And since both of these terms are positive, the parentheses are not necessary. So now let's take a look at the second part. It says x times 2x. Well, that's going to be minus 2x squared. Now you want to be careful. Look back up here where the orange and the green is. If this piece right here in brackets has more than just one term, like x plus 3 or 2x squared plus x, please always make sure that when you write it out down here, like where the 2x squared is, that you put it in parentheses. Otherwise, you're going to forget to distribute that negative. And that's very, very, very common. So just be careful about that. Now, I'm going to leave the denominator just as it is. I'm not going to square this out because it's just not necessary. And the reason why it's not necessary is because nothing's really going to cancel out with it. So, or at least I don't think that that's going to happen. So let's keep this going because we do have like terms in the numerator. I have an x squared and then a 2x squared. So this is going to be f prime of x equals, so I have negative 2x squared and 1x squared, which is going to be negative x squared. And this is plus 1. And this is over x squared plus 1 squared. Notice that we cannot cancel the x squared plus 1s because of one thing, and that is because of this negative sign right here. This numerator is not the same thing as the denominator, so we cannot cancel anything out. With that said, this is my final answer. And that concludes the tutorial.